This is the inside of the Elddis Majestic 285. If I firstly move to the main control panel, I can turn the 12 volt on the master button just here. Once we've done this, we can turn all of the cabin lights on and off just here, and then all of the lights can be individually turned on and off on their own switches. Water pump on and off just here. We need the water pump on so we can get water out the taps, fill the boiler if it's being drained down, and flush the toilet. And then we also have awning light on and off just here. In the centre at the moment we have the time displayed, and it's letting us know that we're connected to mains electricity. If I now begin to scroll, you can see how much water is in the fresh tank, how much water is in the waste tank. We then have the settings menu. To go into this, just press the enter button and then use the arrows to navigate. Anything you want to change, just press the enter button again. So we can alter the contrast. We can change whether we would like button beeps on or off, how quickly this control panel goes into standby when you're not touching any buttons, warnings for when the freshwater tank is low and when the waste tank is high, warning if you lose mains supply, and then warnings for both vehicle and leisure batteries. Like I say, anything you want to change, just hit enter, and then you can then just literally just change it. And then auto battery you can basically ignore because it's not used on this particular model. And then just the firmware, and exit back to the main menu. After that, if I continue to arrow, we have battery selection. On this particular model you can only select the leisure battery, you cannot select the vehicle battery. Condition of the leisure battery, and then back to the beginning again. You do need to make sure that this panel is turned on if you're connected to main supply and you want to be charging the leisure battery. If it is turned off, it will not charge. If I now move above that control panel, we have the Elddis control panel for the heating and hot water system. So we turn it on and off just here. And then on initial startup, it will let you know if you have main supply connected, and it will give you an internal temperature of the motorhome. If I now press the menu button, it will bring up its basic functions. So at the top here we have the thermostat for the heating, literally just plus and minus to pick whatever temperature you would like it to be inside the motorhome, and it will drop all the way down to 5 degrees for frost protection and then go all the way up to 30 degrees. Next we have a shower head, so this is for hot water. So currently at the moment hot water off, hot water on, and then hot water in boost mode. The boost mode was mainly designed for if there's going to be more than one of you having showers in quick succession of each other, or if you just want hot water very quickly. If you do perform this boost and the heating's running, it will turn the heating off because it needs to use the extra power. So even though now I've turned the heating on to 24.5 degrees and turned the hot water on, the system hasn't actually fired up yet because we now need to give it a power source. So if we're connected to main supply, we can run it off the mains, and that is what this lightning bolt here indicates. So as you can see, it's off at the moment. If I now press the plus button, we can run on a relatively low 1 kilowatt. We can run on 2 kilowatts or 3 kilowatts. This is all just dependent on the amperage of the site you're on to try and avoid tripping. If we have no main supply, we can run on the gas. And if we have both power sources available to us, we can run in dual fuel mode. This is very handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature really quickly, and it does only consume gas as it's required. ACC can only be accessed by the workshop, and if I now press the cog, this will go into the settings menu. So you'll see at the top here we have both a moon and a sun. So firstly we have night mode. We can turn night mode on and off just here, and then we can set the temperature we would like it to be for that period. We can then set when we would like night mode to begin, whether it's for all days of the week or just individual, and then when we would like night mode to stop. We can invert the backlight just there of the screen, so the screen goes from, instead of it being that grey colour, to black, and the writing goes to white. And we can also tell the boiler that we do not want any hot water throughout that period. This can be very handy if you're wild camping, so you're not wasting gas heating hot water whilst you're asleep. Next we have a picture of a sun, and basically exactly the same again, but this time just for the daytime. Prioritise is what the system prioritises in using when in that dual fuel mode. So at the moment it favours main supply over gas. If you were on a very low amp site, you can make it so it favours gas over electric. Next we just have brightness of the screen. You can invert it all the time if you wish. This one here is not used on this particular model, and then this one here is just to set the correct time, day of the week, etc., which is what you'd need to do if you're using the day and night modes. If I now arrow down, again the majority of these are not used on this particular model. This one here can be used, and I will show you that in a moment. So again, if I now arrow down, we have antimicrobial just here. This can be used in conjunction with night mode, and then what will happen is in the middle of the night the boiler will rapidly heat itself up to kill any bacteria that may be in it. Temperature offset for the onboard thermostat. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just slightly alter it by a few degrees each way. High altitude mode just here. So if you are using the motorhome 1,000 or more meters above sea level, you can activate this to make it run correctly. Button beeps on and off. Instead of having day and night modes running, etc., you can just literally have one delayed start and stop to the system. So you could have it so the system fires up on Monday at 7 o'clock in the morning and then continues to run until Saturday at 2 in the afternoon. Pump settings just here, just literally leave it on thermal. You do not want it running on continuous, or otherwise the fluid in the radiators will just constantly flow around when not required. Full factory reset, so if there is a problem with the boiler you can just reset it. External start, you do have to have additional SIM boxes added if you wanted to control this via an app. Language. Service, again more for the workshop, but you can press this and just see what everything is up to. So you can see at the moment the water temperature is at 53 degrees and the glycol for the radiators is at 50. Installed accessories. So the only one that's not active which can be handy is this one here, which is the load monitor. So if I now go back out and I now arrow up and go back to where we had all these grey icons, you'll see that this is now in blue, and if I now press it we can go into it. So if you arrive on site and you know how many amps the site is, you can select on here. So let's say it's a 10 amp site. It now would not matter that I've now popped it up to 3 kilowatts, which would definitely trip the site if it was running at full capacity and pulling 3 kilowatts. It will limit itself because we have the load monitor active. If I now move across to the bed just here and lift up, you can actually see underneath here the Aldi boiler itself. If on that control panel you ever got red overheat or PCU overheat, you will not be able to clear it down on the control panel. What you need to do is just remove this panel just here and then unplug this plug just here, leave it out for about 3 or 4 minutes and then plug it back in, and it should reset the system and all should be well. If you've done this 3 or 4 times and you're still getting the same problem, there is a more sinister problem with the boiler and it needs to be looked at. To drain the boiler down for winterization, it's just done on the drain lever just here. Before draining the boiler, make sure that you have turned off the water pump, and then all you need to do is just flap it open like so, and it will then begin draining all the water out of the boiler. As you can hear, I have not turned off the water pump, so what it's now frantically doing is trying to refill the boiler back up again. So if I now close, because I've still got water in the fresh water tank, it will then begin to refill the boiler back up again, and once the boiler is full, as you can now hear, the water pump has stopped. If you're fully winterizing the van, I always suggest that once you've drained the boiler down, that you also then go around to all of the taps and open them all up, because that will help release any airlocks in the system and help it drain down far more efficiently. Once the boiler's been filled, you will need to then open the taps up. They'll cough and splutter as they force the air out of the system, and then once they're running freely as they are now, just close, and then the system will fully reprime itself. Also underneath here we have the consumer unit. So if I now flap this front down, you will see that we have the main strip switches all along the top just here. So we've got the individual MCBs, main RCD, and the test button just there. So if anything's not working on main supply, just check to see if you've tripped at this point here, and if you haven't, you may have tripped at the site end. Directly beneath that we have the 12-volt fuses, and again they're all labelled up. So if anything is not working on 12 volt, just check to see if you've blown a fuse. At the bottom here we have the isolator switch for the fresh and waste tank heaters. So at the moment the tank heaters are in the complete off position. If I now flick it down, they're in the active position. So now water actually has to be in the tanks, and the external temperature has to be below about 3 or 4 degrees. The battery charger sits in the back of the consumer unit just here, so just make sure that there is some ventilation to avoid it overheating. Microwave just here, and this will work when the motorhome is connected to main supply. As it says on the sticker there, do make sure that everything is removed for travel. And then it behaves like most microwaves. You've got quick start just here and stop. Power settings just here, which is very handy if you're on a low amp site to try and avoid tripping. Wait time, defrost, etc. just here. Clock timer. Directly beneath that is the hot plate. Again, will only work on main supply, and it operates just here. Everything else is gas, so with the gas rings it's just a matter of coming to the front, pushing in, twisting round and pressing the igniter. Directly beneath that is the grill. And again, it's just a matter of pushing in, twisting around and pushing the igniter. Sometimes grills will take a little while to light, especially if a new gas bottle has been put on, because they need to purge the air out. And then lastly, we have the oven. The oven is also equipped with a light. Beneath the oven you will find some gas isolation taps. You'll usually find gas isolation taps wherever there's a gas appliance in close proximity. They're all in the on position, and quite frankly they can stay like that. I always say if you do smell gas in the motorhome, go to the source and turn off the gas bottle. But we have the cooker and the fridge just there. We also have a plug plugged in just there, which is for the electric hot plate. Beside the oven we have the Dometic fridge, on and off just here. If we want to run the fridge on main supply, we just put it onto the little picture of the 2-pin plug just there. If we do not have main supply connected, we can run on gas. And if I now press this, it will then switch over and it will automatically ignite itself. If it fails to light, you will get a beeping sound and a red flashing indicator just here. If you think it needs to just try again because there may be a bit of air in the system, or you've forgotten to turn the gas bottle on, just press here and it will retry. We then have 12 volt maintain just here, so this is the setting we have it on to keep the fridge cold whilst on the move. The engine of the motorhome does need to be running, so if I press this at the moment, it will beep at us because I do not have the engine running. Temperature control just here. And then we have the removable freezer box just there. You can see one of the clips just there and the other clip just there. To vent the fridge when you're not using it, just push in on this little bit here and then slide out, and then this will allow the door to hold on a jar. Above my head is the Omnivent fan. To use this, firstly wind open the roof vent, and then we have middle button to turn the unit on, and then we have arrows out for extraction and arrows in for cooling, and it's variable fan speed just by pressing. Do make sure that all roof vents are closed for travel. Numerous light switches all around the motorhome. This switch here is not for a light. If I flick this on here, it will turn a fan on just here. So if you've got your heating on and you want to blow some of the warm air into the cab area, you can do so just by flicking that switch. Underneath this carpet just here, you will find a hatch, and underneath this hatch here it gives you the option to drop in another leisure battery if you wanted to. All the wiring and everything is already in that box. Underneath both of these bench seats you will find travel seats and additional storage as well. Smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm just there. Just press the buttons from time to time just to make sure that they are all operating correctly as they're battery operated. And then just here you will find the PIR sensor for the alarm. So again, just press the button from time to time just to check that it's operating, because again it does require batteries. Freestanding table just here, and then we have the Avtex television. So before using this, just come to where you would find the television aerial. So just here we have the digital amplifier for the aerial itself, so on and off just here, and then control the boost just here. To raise the mast, loosen off the collar and then push up and then get it into the position that you require and then lock it back into place. At the moment the aerial is sitting in the horizontal position. What you can do is flip it into a vertical position for additional tuning if required, and you just need to turn the tail just here. Do make sure that the aerial is back down again for travel. With the Avtex television, it behaves very similar to just televisions you would find in your house. The only difference being really that you will see that it's plugged in to a 12-volt socket, as it's a 12-volt TV, which means you can watch it if you're not connected to mains electricity. It has a DVD slot just here, and then you will find USB connectivity at the top here. If I now turn the telly on, so we've got all the normal TV guide just here. Obviously, as you change location, it will need to be retuned in, and that is what this button here is for. Just literally press and hold, and it will take you straight back to the retune menu. Then just hit OK, and it will then reprogram itself back in again. Do not travel with the TV on the bracket. Do make sure that it has been removed. Also in here we have the solar panel regulator. We do not need to do anything with this. It will just smart charge the leisure battery as it's required. You'll see at the moment that it's solid green, indicating that the battery is fully charged. Whenever it's popping in a charge, it will steadily flash. Again, more storage just underneath this bed, and the leisure battery is just located at this point here. If I now move to the rear of the motorhome, we have the shower cubicle just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is fully secured for travel. We then have the basin just here. And then the Thetford toilet. So the bowl does swivel all around. To open the cassette, just slide the grey lever across, and then it's just the blue button just here to flush. Level indicator just here, so this will illuminate when the cassette needs emptying, and then close back up again. If this has been left open and you try to remove the cassette from the outside, it will not come out. So if you do feel resistance, just make sure that nobody's left it open. In the wardrobe you will find the header tank for the Aldi heating system. Just make sure that the fluid level is between the minimum and the maximum. Always take your reading once the heating is up to temperature, as it will expand in the tank. You can top this up if required yourself. Just make sure that you are using the correct Aldi top-up solution. And just down here you will find a cap that can be unscrewed to top it up. It's a lot easier if you are going to do this just to get a screwdriver, just loosen these screws off, take this cover off, because you can get much better access. With this front bed, it is just a matter of slightly lifting up and then pulling both sections out, just making them meet in the middle, and then just dropping in the cushions. When making this bed, you can flip them over if you want to make it less lumpy bumpy, but it just comes down to personal preference. You'll see once I've dropped these two back cushions into place that there is still a gap just down the back here, and that is what this infill here is for. If we just get it into the right place. Both the passenger and driver seats swivel, and they swivel round just by pulling the lever. Both of them are height adjustable on the levers just here, and then they move backwards and forwards on the lever just underneath. And then we have the captain's armrests on both sides, again adjustable just here. And then we have the usual back tilt just here.